moving into your direction. So in Ashland or any community in northern Ashland County, get into your safe place, the basement or the interior point of your house or apartment now, because this storm is moving into your area. So the goal is, remember, to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If you have social media, I've been retweeting some of these videos of these tornadoes and damage that have been going by, only to give you verification that there has been evidence that there have been tornadoes coming out of this storm system. So please keep that and get into your safe place. Again, the storm system right now, the National Weather Service has said this is going until at least 8:45, as this storm just won't die. This storm system still showing signs of rotation. And again, I'll just kind of give you, there's the radar right there. That's those reds that you're seeing. That's the trajectory of the storms. So you see they're moving south and eastward. And again, that storm in Seneca County moving eastward and sort of combining with that other cluster of storms that's moving south and eastward. Andre, I'm going to send it over to you to see if you wanted to dissect what we're seeing now as the National Weather Service has continued to keep this tornado warning going into Richland and Ashland counties.
Dante, Mackenzie, we have some this has been such a dynamic system. It has been constantly morphing, constantly changing, to the point where we have to wait for every scan to see what the next image is going to look like. And this certainly has been a challenge because it appeared to kind of relax a little bit, then tighten up again. Well, we're still seeing an overall rotation, but there are a couple of zones that appear to be kind of differentiating once more. This is the cell. We're looking at the velocity scan. The velocity tells us where the winds are blowing and in what direction. Here's New London, reds, and here's some pink. That's fast away in this direction because the radar is off to the right-hand side of the screen. Green and blues, no blues here, but green definitely toward the radar. So we still have a signature in here. The overall signature is this motion right in here, reds, and then the greens toward. But look in here. We've got another cell or another area that's trying to get some rotation going. And that would be just crossing over into Ashland County. So if you're in extreme northeast Ashland County, even extreme west central northwest, this is Ashland County, this is Richland County. If you're in Richland County, this is a time where you should be seeking your place of safety. Take your devices with you so you can have constant communication with us. And also into northern Ashland County. There's Ashland down in here. So we're still looking at a pretty intense signature, which is yet to cross over the main area, which is southern Huron County. Here is, again, Ashland County. Here is Richland County. The whole thing sliding southeast. So it looks like this area, the main focus, the main rotation, will cross right over the triple point area between Huron, Richland here, and Ashland County here. Or if you're more familiar with roadways, U.S. Route 224 and U.S. Route 250. There's the intersection right in here. And it looks like that signature is very close to where those two U.S. routes meet. Moving southeast 40 miles an hour, so it's entirely possible that it will follow down U.S. Route 250, or certainly very close, plus or minus a few miles, as it continues off to the southeast. And the other area down in here is in Ashland County, is in Richland County, Ashland County line right here, basically along Ohio Route 96, and here's Ohio Route 603. So where that comes together just north of Weller, we have another potential area that's trying to spin. It's not as strong as what we're seeing up in here, but again, this has been a very dynamic system that has been producing multiple areas where tornadoes are possible. This is the strongest candidate right in here, right now, moving southeast, and that's why the tornado warning has been extended until 8:45. That's essentially another 17 or so minutes going into Ashland, Richland County, the northern part of Ashland and Richland County, and the extreme southern part of Huron County. Let's go back and show you the hail core. Hail core is still there. Look at that. And it continues to morph, but it is getting totally much smaller. We have a couple of areas now approaching Bailey Lakes around US Route 250. Again, that's very close to that circulation area that we showed you. So if you're anywhere between New London, the Bailey Lakes, and not quite Cass, and Shiloh is not too far away. Shiloh's right about here. So essentially, New London, Shiloh, Bailey Lakes. That's the triangle that you really should be in your place of safety right now. Do not throw caution to the wind. This has had a history of producing a tornado on the ground and producing some damage. Okay, let me extend back and show you the radar. The bright spots are right in here between Willard, Shiloh, and extending into northern Ashland County. A few other spots back in here, and Dante mentioned that the line appears to be extending to the west. These are not severe in most cases, although I think some of those have severe thunderstorm warnings all the way out to Seneca County. As we mentioned, you can see lots of lightning in here. So that would be another telltale sign that severe weather is possible with outflow boundaries, small hail. No tornadoes or signatures there, but again, it's right in the bottom end of this, which makes a lot of sense because the whole system, the cold front coming through, that little area of low pressure has been adding some spinning motion, and the most of the spin is going to be right along the leading edge of that. Okay, let's move along and again show you the heaviest rain. Again, we don't see this often. This is absolutely intense rain when you start seeing this color inside the red, and also right in here, northeast of Willard. The overall area is shrinking, but this is going to take a while to rain itself out, along with some decent lightning. Let's move ahead to the Doppler signature again, and we still have that area appears to be, again, lightening up a little bit as it heads off to the southeast. It is still there, but again, it's dynamically changing as we begin to see this kind of relax a little bit. But this has been happening off and on. Don't let that fool you into thinking that maybe the next scan will be even more relaxed. There is still some heavy rain. There's still some large hail, the potential for some wind gusts, outflow boundaries at the leading edge of this, and we still have some rotation. Now, granted, periodically it lightens up a little bit, and let's hope that that is a trend, but so far, since we've seen this start up in the 7 o'clock hour, now in the 8 o'clock hour, that has not been the case. It's been ramping up and slowing down. So don't throw caution to the wind at this stage. New London, Bailey Lakes, not quite Ashland. Ashland, be on your guard because we'll be watching this as it heads off to the southeast. And there have been some indications. One of the things that Doppler does pretty well through its polarizing technology is it looks for debris, the debris that is lifted up. In other words, targets that are larger than raindrop size, targets that are larger than even small hail. If it detects a target of some sort, it will pick it up as a debris ball, a place where potentially a tornado is on the ground and picking up some of this stuff and lofting it into the air. So that's one of those little triangles that you see from time to time where it says debris. The potential, according to one of the Doppler weather radar products, we'll see some of the different target sizes and be able to indicate that. This is looking promising. However, again, do not let your guard down. New London, Bailey Lakes, Shiloh. If you live in that triangle or anywhere along US Route 224, stay in your place of safety. I should give you the places where maybe you're still in your place of safety and it's probably safe to come out. Willard, North Fairfield, Peru, New Haven, Plymouth, New Washington, Attica, Points West. Yes, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for much of this area, but the risk of a tornado would be minimal at this stage, and you might be able to very, very cautiously come out and just kind of keep an eye out for things. But 224, New London, Shiloh, Bailey Lakes, stay exactly where you are in your place of safety. We'll let you know when things clear out, but this is looking a bit more promising. Let's see if there's any new information. Let's go to Dante in the Weather Center.
All right there, Andre. Just by the way, just want to mention that where some of the reports that we're getting in about the tornado on the ground actually happened up at the Ohio and Michigan state lines. So some of those reports are there. We're still hearing reports in Ohio and around the Norwalk area, but a lot of video and reports that we've been getting in have been up at the Michigan-Ohio state line. So just wanted to pass that along to you. But also a lightning strike, a lot of lightning with these storms. So just I just retweeted out a lightning strike at Cedar Point. So there's been a lot of lightning, so just a heads up there. And then Andre mentioned some very heavy rainfall. That is the case. Mackenzie mentioned that to me as well, that we were seeing some 3-inch per hour rain rates in some of these areas. And so look, there it is right there, just to the west of Norwalk, 3 inches per hour. Sullivan, 1.7 inches per hour, 2.6 inches per hour just to the west of Greenwich or Greenwich, and just to the west of Sullivan and east of Greenwich. So we're seeing tons of heavy rain, which is blinding. So not only do you have the tornado that's out there, you have the heavy rain. So at times, this tornado could be rain wrapped. And that is the most dangerous. Not only is it rain wrapped, but it's nighttime. So it's just really a dangerous situation that's set up here that's moving across northern Ohio and northeast Ohio. So this, again, severe weather season has just been so quiet lately. And then all of a sudden, with this one cluster of thunderstorms, we really started to overshoot our tops, if you will. That's a thunderstorm terminology. When you see the spread out of a thunderstorm and then you see one little pooch, that's an overshooting top is what we call that, where the winds are really driving upward really fast. So a really strong thunderstorm. So we're looking at least until, what is this, 8:45, I think, is the tornado warning.
Getting a new update. 8:45.
8:45.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Ashland, Richland. So Huron.
Okay, so Huron is out of the tornado warning, and Richland and Ashland still there at least for another 8 minutes. And I'll go back to this map that a cleaner map that I like to show you that shows exactly what we have as far as warnings for tornado and for severe thunderstorm. So we got a flash flood warning for Erie and Huron counties. And so that's what we were talking about the 3-inch per hour rain rates, where the tornado could be rain wrapped. The rain is falling very heavily. So even if you're pulled over, and you're probably not listening to us if you're on the street, but someone that you love, a friend or a family member, probably out there driving, In Erie and Huron counties, they're probably pulled over on the side of the road because the rain is just blinding as these storms move through. And there's probably maybe a little bit of flooding in some places as well as ponding on the roadways. So we have the flash flood warnings for Erie and Huron counties. Then for Seneca County, at least for the eastern portions of Seneca County, where the storm's still working through there, we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. Still severe thunderstorm warning for Erie and Huron and Ashland counties, and then on the fringes of Richland and Lorain and Medina counties. And that's until 9 o'clock. Thank you, Mackenzie. And then Ashland County and a little sliver of Richland County, north and eastern portions of Richland County, but mainly for Ashland County and northern Ashland County in particular, you are still under a tornado warning. Good news, as Andre was looking at the data, it's starting to broaden as far as the rotation goes a little bit, and so we like to see that where the rotation's not as tight, and so that means, and that indicates, tornadic rotation. When it starts to broaden off a little bit, the tornado is weakening or the funnel is weakening. And so that's more broad rotation in the storm, so we're not as concerned. So thankfully, we're seeing that. We're seeing the hail threat lessen a bit, so we're not seeing necessarily the tennis ball size hail. We are seeing the 1.3 inch hail sizes or 1 3/4 inch hail sizes. But again, hail is still a threat with this. So just a heads up that this storm system's not done yet if it stays on its trajectory. Wayne County, be on guard. So if you're in Wayne County, just keep with us here, and I'll go and I'll show you the track of these storms. I'll kind of put that satellite and radar back on and show you where the storms are. And this also tends to give us the lightning. So there you have the storm system moving through the northern portions of Richland County or Ashland County, and then we're looking at moving just to the south and east into places like Wayne County. So heads up to you, Wayne County, Medina County. You're seeing some showers and probably hearing some thunderbolts as well. Huron County, you are still seeing the rain and the thunder and the lightning. And probably some hail as well, as this storm system has not let up because of that one line, that one cluster of storms that moved through Seneca County and still moving through Seneca County and moving right into Huron County. So right now, these storms that we're looking at in the counties that is really under the gun, Seneca County into Huron County, Lorain County, northern Ashland County, and now will be Medina County and Wayne County next up. So heads up to you all, because this cluster of thunderstorms that has a history of producing tornado and large hail, a lot of lightning, and heavy rain. So really, Andre, all the parameters that we look at, all the threats that we look at with severe thunderstorms, these counties are under.
Yeah, we're obviously interested too in the Doppler scan, and one of the aspects of this particular cell that we've been watching since even before 7 o'clock is the fact that it had a definitive signature, at times trying to broaden out, but even when it did, it always had 2, sometimes even 3 focus points of rotation. But I can say that this is about as disorganized as I've seen in the last 90 to 120 minutes. And if I had a guess that the tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire in 3 minutes, and we'll have a host of severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's still something obviously to be watched. But we'll return to this in just a second. I understand that we have some video to show from Point Place, and that would be some debris getting tossed up into the air, potentially from that tornado when it first was starting to develop. And this is just east of Toledo, essentially right at the western edge of Lake Erie. Again, Point Place, east of Toledo, essentially part of the greater Toledo area. But you can see some of that rotation, or some of that debris rather, getting lofted up into the air. You see even crossing the street there. So when we talk about the debris targets, that's obviously larger than the raindrops. And that's one of the things that the polarized version of Doppler radar, and that's a relatively new addition to all of the NEXRAD sites from the National Weather Service, and they send essentially a radar wave both horizontally and vertically, and when they do that, they can actually tell the shape of the target as opposed to just looking at intensity, which was only one way. So that this dual, they call it dual pole or dual polarization, and it just gives us even more information about these systems, especially, or at least one of the products would be the potential for debris getting lofted northward or upward into the cloud. All right, again, we're looking at the radar signature for wind, reds and pinks away, green and blues toward, but this is becoming much more disorganized. There is a very, very broad circulation in here, so the tornado warning is very likely going to be allowed to expire here in less than 1 minute. Does this mean to let your guard down? No, absolutely not. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings. However, you can probably come out of your place of safety, although keep it nearby, because as Dick Goddard used to always say, you can be without your weather radio, your smart tablet, your smartphone, and if you hear anything that sounds like a freight train, move fast to your point of safety or place of safety, because in all probability, a tornado could be, in fact, on the ground near you. So if you just hear that, that's just a telltale sign. Get to your place of safety. But the overall pattern is looking much nicer, and we're now at 8:45, so I would imagine that the tornado warning has not been extended for this, but we do have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings, including a severe thunderstorm watch. Thank you. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate that. Severe thunderstorm watch and a number of severe thunderstorm warnings, but the tornado warning has expired. This appears to be becoming very disorganized here at this point. We'll obviously watch it, and if anything happens, we will be back on the air and carrying you through this evening, a very active afternoon, active evening. If nothing else happens, you'll have the complete rundown of all of this from Mackenzie Bart, Fox 8 News at 10. We'll see you then.
Meteorologist Dante Jones alongside Mackenzie Bart and Andre Bernier here at the Fox 8 Weather Center, Dick Goddard Weather Center. As we mentioned, if there was other tornado warnings that popped up, we'd be right back here with you at it. And sure enough, another tornado warning with this line that's moving south and east. And this tornado warning, Ashland County into Wayne County. So anywhere just to the north of Ashland, down right through the center of Wayne County is where that tornado warning is. Now let's get you straight to the radar, and we'll show you exactly what's going on here. The storm system has been moving south and east, and these tornadoes have really been cycling back and forth at times, weakening and then strengthening again. And so here's that storm system, and you can see right there is right in the center of those counties. We'll move through here and show you right there Ashland County and Wayne County until 9:30 p.m. Right here is where we're seeing the center of that storm, and I zoom in and show you exactly where we are. Here is Albion and Red Hall, right to the west of Congress is where we're seeing the center of that storm, and moving south and east. Let me see if I can't get you some areas where that's going to be affecting as long as this stays on its current trajectory. As I mentioned, Red Hall and Lattisburg and Cedar Valley and Overton within the next half hour. 9:01 in Red Hall. So just a heads up that this is just to the north and east of Ashland, and that'll be moving into the Wayne County area as well. This is, again, a tornado warning. I'm going to put on what we call the storm relative velocity to kind of show us the winds inside the storm and see how they're moving. And so I'll move this right down here to the center of the storm. I'll zoom out just a little bit and show you what we're looking at here. Right here is what we're looking at. And that is just, again, just to the east of Ashland is where we're seeing the center of the storm, the rotation anyway. And I'll draw on another location tracker here to give us a sense of where this is moving. This will probably move just to the south of Worcester if it stays on its current trajectory. And again, this is a tornado-warned storm that we're seeing again in Ashland County and moving down into Wayne County as well. So just heads up here. So let's, this tornado looks like it's on the ground around near, or radar indicated, I should say, around Polk, Ohio, until about 9:30. By the way, this is going on. Willard and Ashland is where this currently is. So just a heads up, though, as we mentioned before we went off there last time, northern Ashland County, you are under the gun right now with this storm system. With this storm cluster that has had the history of producing tornadoes and large hail and some very gusty winds, as well as some heavy rainfall at times. All the threats of severe weather that we measure. So we're looking at this storm that just won't quit. In all honesty. And so we'll kind of take a look at some of the other parameters that we've got and see what's happening with this storm system. So we'll go back up here to our radar and kind of zoom out and just kind of show you what's going on. Here is the storm cluster right here. As it moves, you can see the polygons or the triangles, if you will, that we have on there. What's severe thunderstorm warning, what's tornadically warned. So Norwalk down to New London, down to Ashland, and down to Worcester. That's where we're seeing these storms move through. Now, if you look just to the north of Ashland and down towards Worcester, that's where the tornado part of this storm is. And so we're zooming in around 71 in Ashland County, and that's where the biggest threat is. So just to the south of West Salem, just to the east of Ashland, that's where that threat is, and it's moving south and east. So it's going to cross over 71. It's going to cross over 302 and 250, and so just be in, and 42 as well as you move through Ashland County. So if you are in this area, if you are in West Salem, you're going to hear some very heavy rainfall, some lightning. But if you are around Red Hall, Roseburg, Overton, England, heads up to you, where we're seeing this tornadically warned storm move in your direction. Has history, again, very heavy rainfall. So this storm could be this tornado could be rain wrapped. Right now, it's radar indicated, but it has had a history of actually being seen on the ground with spotters. So that gives us very good indication that there could be very easily a tornado that's going through this area. Andre, I'm sorry, Mackenzie.
Oh, yeah. And so just looking at the correlation coefficient, a tool that we use to talk about debris, we have seen hints of that with other systems from the same system that have been producing these tornado warnings. So it's very likely that there could be a tornado, especially with how dark it is. Again, we're not getting any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but when you see signatures just like that, it is very likely that there is one in that area. So that's why we're breaking on to let you know that there is this tornado warning until 9:30 for folks in Ashland. This does stretch down into folks in Worcester too. Two big areas that we have here with a lot of people around them, and being, a Thursday night, a lot of people may be traveling. So contact that loved one if they're around 71 between Ashland, West Salem, maybe even the Worcester area, and let them know that it's not safe to be on the road right now. And we'll let you know when that go ahead is good.
Yeah, right. And in Worcester in particular, that's another highly populated area. This storm is bearing down on you in Worcester. So just really stay inside if you're in Worcester. Andre, what are you seeing on radar so far?
Well, I've been keeping a very close eye on this velocity scan. When we left you just after 8:45, things had really settled down. But there was one little spot in here that just sprung to life. Literally, in 2 or 3 radar scans. And remember that we told you that that has been the history of these cells, that from time to time they have shown signs that they're going to break down, and then 2 or 3 scans later, something spins up in them and spins up to keep the tornado warning going. So this is the rotation right in here. Now, this most recent scan, literally just moments ago, went through, showed a little bit of a reduction in the rotation, but we still have the reds moving away from the radar, green toward, so there appears to be something right in there, and that would be in, well, not quite northern Ashland County, but Ashland about here, and this is heading southeast. The Wayne County border, and Dante called this just before we left you. We said, be on the alert if you live in Wayne County, because this whole mess was going to be sliding in, and that is in fact the case. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for almost all of Wayne County, and the tornado warning, which is the red box here, that's in effect until 8, make that 9:30, so another 30 minutes as this works down U.S. Route 250, which goes through Worcester, and potentially further south from there. Again, this has lost a little bit of its energy. However, that's not saying anything, because this has had almost a 2-hour history of lots of ebbs and flows since it left Toledo. And so here it is. It's still there. It's not disappeared, but it's much weaker right now, and it is sliding southeast. The Wayne County border is right here. So if you live in Congress, from Ashland west, you're probably okay, but I would still caution you, if you live in Ashland, stay in your place of safety for another couple of minutes until this mess can slide southeast. And once it does, Congress and the next bigger town would be Worcester, but also New Pittsburgh is in the pathway. So we have Congress, New Pittsburgh, and Worcester in a triangle, really as the next zone for this as it moves through, potentially even south of U.S. Route 250 as it glides to the southeast. The whole thing, and let me give you the perspective here. This is the entire cell, and the whole thing is gently showing winds pushing away from the radar. Here's the radar, Cleveland Hopkins Airport, and the green towards. But anytime you have a really tight couplet, and typically that's on the south side, and in this case the southeast side of that cluster, well, that is very disconcerting. And let's zoom in, and it's tightening up a little bit as it's moving closer to the Wayne County border. And here it is, right in here. Here's the red is away, green toward, and here's the Wayne County border if you live in Congress, as well as New Pittsburgh, which would be right about here, and Worcester. These are the zones that you really should be in your place of safety. Now, if you live well west of Ashland, towards Cass and Shiloh, Shelby, Mansfield, no problem. Now, you have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that are still in effect. And let me zoom out so that you can see some of those. It looks like the only one that might be active, it looks like the only one that's active is in Wayne County right now. But we have a severe thunderstorm watch, which essentially encompasses the entire Fox 8 viewing area, and that will be in effect until these storms die down. Let me give you the whole perspective. Again, this is just to give you a flavor. Most of the area is not seeing severe weather, but if you're in the southwest corner, especially approaching Interstate 71, U.S. Route 250, which runs about where my finger is, That's where all of the severe weather has occurred within the last 15 or so minutes. And it all started at Toledo. We showed you some video at about 8:45 this evening of debris getting lifted up, and there was a potential tornado that was doing that. And the tornado warning actually began west of Detroit, right about here, and we tracked it all afternoon long, beginning at about 4:30 in the afternoon here, at 5:30 going into Sandusky Bay, and by 6 o'clock into Sandusky Bay, and of course, this is where we're at right now. It is sliding to the southeast and hopefully beginning to diminish. Let me show you the hail core. Now, the hail core, this is another good sign that things are beginning to collapse. We can only hope. These hail cores, they're still there, but these are much smaller and much more intense than what they were. Okay, very good. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nick. And a tornado, as I understand, did touch down near, and there's Congress. Congress is right there. And there was a tornado touchdown apparently at Congress. We're going to get, I'll tell you what, let's toss it to Dante right now, who has some more details on that tornado touchdown near Congress in Wayne County.
Yeah, Andre, as a matter of fact, Mackenzie was getting some information in from the National Weather Service. Mackenzie, where exactly was that?
So we're getting reports from a trained spotter that a small tornado is making brief contact. That is just 3 miles southeast of Congress. So, Andre, that lines up perfectly with the area that you're talking about. But still, if you're in Congress, you take your phone, your tablet, turn the TV up really loud, and head to your safe space if you're not there already.
Matter of fact, if you take, I don't know if you have the ability to take radar in a double box, we can kind of show you exactly where that's at. Right around the Roseburg area, we can see a little hook right there, and that would be exactly where that's at. I'll scoot out just a little bit, kind of show you that hook. So there's Congress up there, and then just to the south and west, they said
right around 3 miles.
3 miles south and west. There is where that tornado briefly touched down. That was a trained spotter.
Yeah,
right?
So making contact.
So again, these storms really having that history of where we've had trained spotters and we've had cell phone video evidence of these tornadoes touching the ground. So that gives us further evidence with our technology that it's verifying, it's doing its job. When we're looking at this and we're not seeing ground confirmation, that's where we're a little doubtful, and we say, okay, it's radar indicated. But now these are certainly being spotted on the ground. Also, a lot of lightning with these storms. Heads up, don't try to go outside and look at anything. A, it's dark. B, you got a lot of rain out there, so you might not see anything because it's dark and it's rainy out there. And then on top of that, you got all this lightning that's out there as well. So you don't want to deal with any of this stuff that's going through, because these storms are awfully dangerous too.
Lightning, hail. We've seen reports of tennis ball size hail tonight in the same history of this storm. Right now, it looks like just over an inch is possible in a few of the storms that we're seeing, as well as wind gusts, of course, general over 60 miles per hour. But once we get into that tornadic range, we're really seeing something that could do damage to your property.
Right, absolutely. Also, and thanks for taking that on double box. Let me just scoot in and show you that little hook right there. Again, that's classic textbook when we're in school and we're learning about radar meteorology. That's one of those classic things that we look at and says that's right there where you could possibly see a tornado. And so let me just go to what we call the storm relative velocity and just look at that in particular and kind of move that right around.
So it seems like this system has already moved south of 71. So if you're north of 71 on the far end of that tornado watch box, I'm sure here in the next few minutes you'll be taken out of that. So we are seeing some clearing, especially for folks north of the Ashland area. You can come out of your safe spot because we are starting to see this system move off to the south and east.
And it's at least for another 20 minutes that this tornado warning is going to go on.
Till 9:30,
as this system system slowly moves off to the south and east. And as a matter of fact, let's just take a look at some of the areas south and east there who could be affected if this storm system continues on its current trajectory. We're going to take a look at a map here that shows us the current warnings. And so if this continues into Wayne County and continues to move south even after Wayne County, we're talking northern portions of Holmes County and into northern portions of Tuscarawas County. So just a heads up, Wayne County, and then northern portions, and in particular north and eastern portions, northeastern portions of Holmes County and northern portions of Tuscarawas County. Just kind of keep your ear to the railroad track, or ear to the ground, if you will, because this storm system moving your way. Mackenzie, you mentioned a lot of rainfall, 3 inches at times. So we got Erie and Huron counties that's in flash flood warnings there because of the amount of rainfall that's falling with these storms. So we got all threats that's going on with these storms.
And talking about the lightning, we were just looking up the power outages. Areas in Sandusky, it seems like 25,000 people out of power.
Wow.
Huron, around 28,000 people out of power too. So when these systems come along, they're producing a lot. That is a possibility. One thing to note, a positive here, you can see we only have one severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for Wayne County. Noting that these systems are losing energy because we don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings behind it or surrounding it. So really just kind of watching this one main cell that's just been holding on all evening long.
It's really been, and as Andre mentioned, it's kind of been cycling down and cycling back up. Kind of reminds me of a hurricane where it goes through eye wall replacement, where it'll weaken and it'll broaden, it'll weaken and it'll broaden. So we're looking at the same things happen with this line of the cluster, if you will, not necessarily a line, but a cluster of thunderstorms where there's one particular storm just really just going gangbusters and staying together. And not only staying together, just rotating and then weakening, rotating and then weakening. So we still got to be on guard. And that's why we're here at least until 9:30. If we continue what happened the last time, the National Weather Service, they decided, okay, we're not seeing the rotation that we saw, so we'll go ahead and cancel the tornado warning. But we were still watching that storm because there were some rotations that were still pulsing. And then we come back on air again because it's just been doing that all night long.
And, even looking at the velocity right now, again, it's going through that area where it's very broad. So any spin that we saw out there is kind of falling apart, which is good news. So we're kind of hoping that it stays on this, but still have that tornado warning in place until 9:30.
So I'm trying to think of any other things I want to. So just to kind of talk about one of the things that we're seeing here is that we are seeing a ramping up, if you will, of the severe weather season late. Usually severe weather season kind of starting in March and April. And this is what we saw last year, May 1st through June 14th. We had a litany of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings and flood warnings. It's been such a quiet season so far because if you remember about a month ago, we had about 2 weeks where we had clouds and showers and cool temperatures. And then that was replaced with 3 weeks of nothing but sunshine, thanks to this big ridge that was over us. Really wasn't preventing anything as far as convection or storms to really come through. And now, look at this year. So because of that, our months of crazy weather, we hardly had anything as far as the severe weather season. So now we're starting to see that weather pattern change. And so we're looking at, so far, this long-lived cluster of thunderstorms that's been producing tornadoes and large hail, as well as some very heavy rain and a lot of lightning. So just a heads up, this isn't done yet. It's those good, as Mackenzie mentioned, good news. It's just those few counties that are still under the warning. So Andre, what are you seeing so far as as rotation?
Well, as you mentioned, it has been pulsating up and down. And this is one of those down cycles right now because literally 2 or 3 minutes ago, we were watching the velocity scan and we had 2 very distinct areas where some rotation was around. So in Ashland, stay put. If you are in Ashland, stay in your place of safety right now, because one of the areas of rotation is from Ashland Point southeast, right in here, and extending. Okay. All right, Ashland County tornado warning. I was just told the Ashland County portion of the tornado warning has been canceled, but you may want to sit this one out until this moves to the east. However, this is the main focus now, and New Pittsburgh is right here at my fingertip, and there's Worcester. So we've got this. If you're in New Pittsburgh, in Wayne County, in Worcester, you need to be in your place of safety right now and take all of your listening equipment, your smartphone, your smart tablet with you so you can stay tuned to us and we can let you know what's going on. Now, west of Ashland, Savannah, no problem, but apparently even to the east, National Weather Service has deemed it safe enough to remove or cancel the tornado warning for Ashland County, but it continues for Wayne County until 9:30. That's another 15 or so minutes, and we're seeing that. I'm going to zoom right into Wayne County because here's Worcester, and there is U.S. Route 250, which goes from near Roseburg all the way down and through Worcester. So there's 250. So if you live anywhere in Wayne County on U.S. Route 250 from Worcester to the Wayne County, Ashland County border, you need to be in your place of safety right now while the system cycles through. This has not been the strongest signature, but the signature is certainly definitive. It's there, and this is what's being watched as it dives southeast at about 30 miles an hour. Beyond that, it looks like the tornado warning stops before it gets to Apple Creek. Well, as soon as you get to East Union, certainly that would be a place that would be at least be on high alert as this slides southeast. And if you go far enough southeast on 250, you end up in the beautiful little town of Kidron, right about there. And so as this glides down, it appears to be following US 250. So heads up in Wayne County, if you are within maybe 2 or 3 miles either side of US Route 250, you need to be paying close attention. And of course, the tornado warning, which extends just to the southeast of Worcester. So from Worcester points northwest, the tornado warning is in effect until 9:30. Let me show you the scan for the hail, one of the hail indices that we look at. And there's a pretty good little hail core about to push into Worcester. So if you're living in downtown Worcester, not only will you see the very heavy rains and the frequent lightning, but you'll also have the potential for some large, potentially even damaging hail. But the other hail cores have really settled down. There are a few little minor spots out here in Seneca County, but all of that is beginning to disappear. And this whole line is pressing off to the southeast. Everything up here, not severe. No longer any severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Lorain County, Sandusky, Erie County, none of that. All the focus is down in here, especially in Wayne County. And you can see the brighter echoes right in here in Wayne County. From Worcester right to the Ashland border, this is sliding southeast at about 40 miles an hour. And so it's essentially following U.S. Route 250 all the way down to the southeastern corner of the state. Let me give you a broad picture of what's going on here. Again, just to give you a perspective, most of the severe weather has been happening well out to the west. But here, this is where the action did start, out near Jerusalem. And now we have the severe thunderstorm watch box, which is in effect almost the entire Fox 8 viewing area. We have several flood warnings, which remain in effect. Northern Ashland, Erie County, Sandusky County, and Huron County being some of them. And here is the tornado warning, which is in effect until 9:30 for the next 12 minutes or so. with a severe thunderstorm warning that extends all the way down to and includes the entire Wayne County area, except for the extreme northeast. And so let me show you what's going on with the Doppler weather radar. Again, the heaviest is down in here, approaching I-71. Here's the hail core, which now is just north of Worcester. And when we show you the Doppler scan, things are, again, it's the pulsating effect of this particular cell. Some scans, well, it looks like things are really winding down. And then 2 or 3 scans later, they begin to spin up, especially in this very troublesome southeastern corner of the storm cluster. It is traveling southeast, and this is the region that is probably the most troubling. Let me get down there so you can see it. A little closer look. This is the Wayne County, Ashland County line. Here's Worcester, and here is that zone right in here. Again, tornado warning still in effect for the next 11 minutes. And if you're anywhere along U.S. Route 250 from New Pittsfield, which is right about here, through Worcester, and then southward from there, we're going to have to see if this holds together past 9:30, because past that point we have Kidron in southeastern Wayne County, along with Mount Eaton and Apple Creek, which is just outside. Apple Creek is right about here, and it's just outside of the tornado warned area. So again, we've had a number of reports of some potential damage along the way. I would imagine that the National Weather Service is going to be somewhat busy checking out all of the spots where certain touchdowns may have occurred. One of them nearby was Congress, right about here, and that's in northwest Wayne County, well north of 250 near Interstate 71. But the action here now is going to be focused right here near Worcester. It's heading southeast. All of the other energy appears to be kind of broad-based, so there's really no danger in here in terms of tornado, which is why the National Weather Service canceled the Ashland County portion of that tornado warning. It's now only active for Wayne County and now for the next 9 or so minutes. All right, let's see what's happening, see if there's anything new in the Weather Center with Dante and Mackenzie.
All right, yeah, we were just mentioned, as a matter of fact, I retweeted, and I also mentioned, my tweets, because there's sometimes what we can't get on TV, we can get on social media. So Mackenzie and I both, I think, retweeted, so if you father either one of us, retweeted some damage that's out there in Sandusky County. So again, ground evidence that these storms are producing some damage.
Yeah, and Andre talked about it. So what will happen in the morning, the National Weather Service will go out and they'll go to a few of these locations where spotters have seen or confirmed a tornado, or we have damage like this. And just to describe this video, if you're in that safe spot and don't have an opportunity to watch it, it's barns, basically roofs, sides completely, equipment moved off to the side, roof down the lane. So it really is evidence that a powerful tornado went through that region. So they'll go out in the morning and basically they'll gather this evidence and they'll confirm what type of tornado
What
was
helps
there.
too, Mackenzie, I think what helps the National Weather Service anyway is that we've been seeing ground truth of this tornado on the ground as opposed to just radar indicated. And so when the National Weather Service is out there looking, at least they can they're looking to see how the debris is, if it's more circular or if it's spread out in one area, so that it gives them some evidence of is it straight line winds or is it tornadic damage. So it gives them a little bit more to go on to say, okay, we actually have seen a tornado on the ground, as opposed to just looking at all radar evidence to see maybe this was tornado, maybe this was straight line. So all of these videos, granted, someone mentioned on Twitter, and I have to agree with this, they said, I remember the days when we got into our safe places when tornadoes were around, as opposed to videotaping the tornadoes to send it. And I agree, 100%. Your first thought should be your safety. However, if you just happen to be in a place where the tornado is going the opposite direction that you are, and you can, safely take that video or picture, what have you. That helps everybody out tremendously because it helps our technology out. It helps us out to get the word out to you that this is ground truth, to get out of the way in this general direction. So, but a good point on my Twitter follower for saying, your safety is first,
Yep.
As opposed
Always.
to trying to capture that.
Yeah, so that's why if you are in the Worcester area, we have that tornado warning still that Andre's been pointing out. It does seem like that has tightened up again on the velocity.
Is that right?
And I know you have the, if we can